Good morning, everyone. Let's rise and body your spirit. Sing Hold Everybody Up, Melanie Moore. You gotta hold everybody. You gotta hold everybody up. You gotta hold everybody. You gotta hold everybody up. 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 Just because I look like you and I look like me doesn't mean we can't be friends or not my enemy. You gotta hold everybody. You gotta hold everybody up. You gotta hold everybody. You gotta hold everybody up. 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 People all around the world sometimes feel so sad. But when people show their care, then things won't be so bad. You gotta hold everybody. You gotta hold everybody up. You gotta hold everybody. You gotta hold everybody up. Hold everybody up. Hold everybody up. Hold everybody up. Hold everybody up.
Good morning. Thank you for holding me up. Happy June. Welcome to our service. Whether you're with us on Zoom or you're here in person, we're glad you're here. I am Roger Jones, and my pronouns are he and him, and my occupation is being one of the co-ministers of this congregation. My co-ministry colleague, the Reverend Lucy Bunch, and I are leading the service today, presenting with a number of dedicated lay leaders, and the topic is belonging. We are happy to have also the inspiration of several talented musicians of UUSS today. The order of service will tell you who is doing what today, and if you're with us online, you can find a copy of today's order of service on our website through a link in the chat on Zoom. The blue sheet, our weekly calendar of activities, is also online as well as on paper, though I say that with hope because our facilities manager has been out after surgery, so I may not have gotten that done. But it is on paper. Our congregation's mission statement says we come together to deepen our lives and be a force for healing in the world. Toward this end, we honor the Nishanan, Southern Maidu, and Miwok peoples for their commitment to this land where UUSS exists. They have never left nor ceased to care for this land. Our monthly newsletter and our Friday message about the upcoming weekend come out by email. If you would please fill out a newcomer's form, either by a link to our website or at the welcome table after the service, we can connect with you and send you those weekly emails. We're glad you're here. Next Sunday after the service is our monthly newcomers orientation with a tour of the campus. You can meet your guide out in the hall there about 10 minutes after the conclusion of the service next Sunday. It lasts about an hour. Here are some highlights from the blue sheet. Here on the sanctuary walls, you can see that we have a new art exhibit, and this is the work of local photographer Aniko Kiesel. This coming Thursday, we will have an artist reception for Aniko here at UUSS starting at 5:30. Come ready to ask any technical questions or other questions about her dynamic photographs from our local area. The reception is free and there will be light refreshments, and it will include a brief slideshow by the artist. Next Sunday after the service, we will have a showing of the acclaimed Netflix film Rustin, starring Coleman Domingo as Bayard Rustin, civil rights leader of the 60s. Our People of Color Caucus is hosting this in honor of the Juneteenth holiday as well as Pride Month, and all are welcome next Sunday. As I mentioned, the theme today is belonging, as in the factors of belonging and feeling part of this congregation. Whether you're attending in person or on Zoom today, we hope that you can stay after the service for a very special forum about the results of our 2025 survey of the pulse of the congregation. We appreciate the time and care of the Justice and Equity team on the survey and on their work leading up to today's big event. If you're here in person, please plan to stay, if you can, right here. There will be snacks and coffee already in this room, so you don't have to go far. And if you're with us on Zoom, you don't need to log out after the service or wait for a breakout room, as the forum will start right after the service. And if you're at home, however, you have to provide your own snacks and coffee. We're providing childcare here, so you have to provide your own childcare at home. After the forum on Zoom, 2 members will facilitate smaller discussion groups on Zoom so you can participate. And here on campus, there will be a number of small groups following the forum after the survey results are explained, and that will all be made clear during the forum. I think, other than checking to make sure our ringers are turned off on our phones and watches, that's all I need to say. Again, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
No snacks on Zoom? That seems kind of harsh. Our cellist leader this morning is Karen Gunderson. And our chalice lighting words are from Yami Yandel. We light this chalice for the quiet truths we carry and for the futures we're brave enough to write. In this circle, we honor the courage it takes to live openly, the softness that sustains us, and the joy and power that grow when we gather. As the chalice glows, may we feel steadiness rise in us. May we trust that our becoming, messy, radiant, unfolding, wholly belongs to us. And now as we go into a time for our music for centering, if you'd like to light a candle and leave a card with something that you'd like Sophia to share during the prayer, this is a good time to do so.
Next Sunday, our summer religious education program begins for all ages of children and youth. And today is the closing Sunday of the regular religious education year. Our senior high youth group is meeting for those in grades 9 to 12. Our junior high youth group is meeting for those in grades 6 to 8. And our Soul Kids program is also having its final session today, and we will sing you out.
You gotta put one foot in front of the other.
Next, we light our candle of compassion and resistance. In this ritual, we recognize the times in which we live, times of disruption and anxiety in this country and the world. When cruelty is on display and so many are in danger, our values call us to compassion and resistance. As we kindle this flame, let its light inspire us to bear witness to human decency, dignity, freedom, and the power of love. Every Sunday, we recognize and hold one another's joys and sorrows as part of building our sacred community. On the first Sunday of each month, we do so by lighting candles and inviting you to fill out cards for us to read. But on other weeks, you can submit your news by clicking on the link that you can find in our Friday newsletter, or you can contact the ministers before the weekend. We have a number of joys and sorrows to share this morning. Sally White shares a joy that her grandson, Raphael, graduated from middle school and is ready for high school in September. She says, getting through the first 8 years was a challenge, and he made it with bells on. We uplift Raphael and Sally's joy this morning. We continue to send our love to member Robin Howlett, who is in the hospital following a heart attack and a spinal fracture. Unfortunately, she also has a bacterial infection and can't have any visitors, but we send our prayers of healing and strength to Robin. Nadia and Nidra Moore share a joy that their rescue dog, Bella B, has no more skin cancer. They also share a sorrow and request healing prayers and energy for their cousin, Bonnie, in Lakewood, Colorado. She is in the hospital with an infected kidney stone and borderline sepsis, although she is doing better as of yesterday. But we pray for continued healing and strength for Bonnie. Annette Emery shares, my husband, Patrick Cody, just received news that his brother, Michael Cody, passed away unexpectedly on June 4th. Mike taught communications at USC for over 30 years and was living in Florida when he passed. It appears he fell during the night and sustained a fatal injury. Mike was 75 and will be missed by his family. We send our love to Michael, Patrick, and their family. Peggy shares a sorrow, saying, my niece, who has cerebral palsy, has been hospitalized with various medical conditions. Yesterday, the doctor gave us the end-of-life talk. Patty shares a joy, saying, my mom celebrated her 98th birthday yesterday. Sarah shares a joy, saying, I'm grateful to be back at my condo after almost 2 years at my parents'. Sybil and Doug share a joy for the upcoming birth of our first grandbaby. Any day, can't wait. Mary shares a sorrow for the passing of my dear friend Mark Bradley. He filled my life with stories and music. Michelle shares a sorrow, saying prayers to the universe for dear friends Gary, David, and Terry. Chris shares a gratitude for the anti-fascists that gave their lives on June 6, 1944. One among us shares a sorrow, saying, praying for healing and strength for my father and others suffering from alcohol and drug addiction. And another among us shares love and strength to Bobby and Gary Keel. Lou shares a sorrow, saying, I found out yesterday that an old friend recently died. She was a brash lesbian comic and might have been annoyed to be remembered in a UU church. Lou says, tough luck, pit monster. Rest in power. Terry shares a joy, saying, my neighbor sold her house and found a new place to live right away. And my grandkids celebrated their graduation from elementary and middle school. Another among us also shares a prayer for those struggling with addiction. Michaela shares a joy, saying, I have officially finished my master's program after 4 long years. And Mary shares a joy, saying, we are so proud of our son, Finn, who has finished 6th grade and is on his way to middle school. We love him so much. And Alicia has a joy, saying, I got a new job with the California Conservation Corps. Emily has a joy, saying, I am so grateful for this community's care and courage to talk about hard things. Together, we can build our beloved community. Greg has a joy, saying, today is my birthday. Hallelujah, I made it to 60. And Evie has a joy of being promoted to 1st grade. One among us has a joy, saying, I made 2 new friends last week and gave them my number. And Evan has a joy, saying, my birthday is Monday. I am excited for this new chapter. Nathan shares a hope that more world leaders will follow in Martin Luther King Jr.'s footsteps. And one among us shares, a friend of mine is going through unemployment and financial uncertainty. My heart is with all facing these problems in these worrying times. Holding all these joys and all these sorrows and so many others that we bring and keep in our hearts this morning, I invite you into a time of prayer with me. Let's take a moment to breathe together. In and out. Feel yourself connected to the floor, to your chair, to your wheelchair, wherever it is that you're resting this morning. May this be a sanctuary where you can lay your burdens down and feel them held by your community. May you know that you do not walk alone. For all those who are hurting this morning, we ask that their pain be eased and that they be surrounded by love to carry them through. May this too be a holy place to which you can bring your joy and find it multiplied. For all those whose hearts are light today, we uplift and celebrate alongside you. As we breathe together in this space and in community on Zoom, may we feel rooted in our interconnectedness, grounded and connected to one another and to the world. We call on the spirits of life and love to be with us and to help us hold all we may carry today as we enter into a time of silence together. Amen and blessed be.
When we're longing for love, it looks like justice. When we're longing for love, it looks like justice. We can live for love. Whoa, get committed to it.
Love looks like justice. Love looks like justice. We can live for love. Love looks like justice. Love looks like justice. We can live for love.
When we're searching for love, it sounds like oneness. When we're searching for love, it sounds like oneness. We can sing the love. When we're searching for it,
love sounds like oneness. Love sounds like oneness.
We can sing the love. We can sing the love.
When we search, we can sing
We
the
can
love.
sing the
We
love.
can sing the love. We can sing the love. We can sing the love.
It's not hard. Let it be. Where you are. It's not hard. It's not hard.
It's not
Let it be.
when we're wondering,
Love sweet like when we're hungry. Love sweet like when we love.
We're all hungry for it.
Love sweet like kindness. Love sweet like kindness. Love sweet like
We can live
oneness.
for love.
Love sounds like
We can
oneness.
live for love. Love looks like justice. Love looks like justice. Love looks like justice.
This morning's theme, belonging, comes from the Pulse survey that our congregation undertook last year under the direction of our Justice and Equity team. More than 100 people in our community answered that survey. And as Roger said, there's going to be a forum after the service. You'll be able to hear the results and have a chance to have conversations in small groups about that. So we're exploring this theme of belonging, and we're going to have some reflections. You'll hear actual responses that were written into the survey. And Roger and I are going to do homilies around this theme. So let us start now with 2 reflections, one by Eric Gudz and one by Diana Ho.
Belonging, both in the collective sense of cultivating authentic community, as well as the personal sense of feeling safe enough for pure authenticity, has been a fickle, narrow, and often exasperating path throughout my life. A war veteran who would love nothing more than peace, except maybe to melt down all the planes and give everyone health care, right? A tender, caring empath, constantly caught in a sea of conflict, toxic masculinity, and strife. A scientist and civil servant, deeply alarmed at the precarious state of our natural world, but struggling to build solidarity among colleagues and causes alike. A human being who enjoys presenting masculine at times, but has also done so at times because of the safety that society has imbued on that particular portion of the gender spectrum. Even to be one of the many explorers of the gender spectrum on its own can leave one struggling for any sense of belonging at all in today's society. There are exceptions, however, refuges even, if we are lucky enough to find them in our life. I feel lucky enough to have found one here at UUSS in a way I didn't expect. One of the first indications of safety and belonging that compelled me to keep coming back to UUSS was pronoun visibility on our name tags. It felt safe enough for me to list both of my pronouns, he and they, together. It might seem like a small thing, but I can tell you there's quite a bit going on in the background, at least for me. Pronoun visibility can be an agonizing decision to those navigating the gender spectrum, where they must contend with pronoun visibility can be an agonizing decision based on those who are navigating the gender spectrum, and something they must contend with constantly, depending on their surroundings. During nearly every single interaction with another human being in the last 2 decades, I almost always felt as though I was faced with a choice. Do I allow myself to express additional authentic aspects of my gender, or do I err on the side of safety and maintain the old, reliable masculine vibe? The visibility is deeply appreciated. While formidable and ambitious, I truly believe in our community's intention here today and our ability to cultivate an even stronger and more collective sense of belonging. We have the courage, the patience, and compassion needed for the task before us all. And we have the collective strength to put our shoulders to the wheel and discover even more ways to create belonging here at UUSS. Our community deserves no less, and we will always be stronger, more vibrant, and more resilient because of it. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So during this earlier part of this year, I ended up moving down to Los Angeles by myself so that I can care for my grandmother. And so I've been sort of splitting time between Northern and Southern. And I did not plan to be here today. I did not plan to be standing here today either, so bear with me. It will definitely not be as, eloquently prepared as Eric's. But belonging is also complicated for me for so many reasons. I am an immigrant, but I immigrated when I was a baby. So I've been here since I was 5 months old. And even that, I basically grew up here, and this is all I've known. But I have always lived in that liminal space between belonging in this country and not feeling like I belong in the home country where I was born. And in a lot of ways, I've always sort of not felt like I belonged kind of anywhere. And in recent years, through a lot of self-reflection and through the work of figuring out how to care for my son, who is 22, I have discovered my own neurodiversity and the ways that my they would call me a high masking autistic person. Reflecting on my memories through that lens has been extremely enlightening and healing. But because of that, I'm kind of always in spaces that are not designed for me. So belonging is always difficult. And when I came here, belonging was hard. This isn't the first UU I've been to. I attended the UU in San Francisco for a little while. And what made belonging a little more difficult were some of the microaggressions that I experienced, just, out and about and amongst our wonderful people here. And I know that it's never intentional. My baseline is always assuming good intent. But there were moments like being out during coffee hour and having my very mixed family. I have bonus kids that are very blonde and very white. And so we were at a table and someone came over to ask my bonus kid, who, where are their people? Like very concerned for them. And it just, it's very, it's hurtful. And it's things like that, or being mistaken for another Asian member of the congregation. It's little moments like that. But over the years, through my work with the Justice and Equity team and attending other events, including All Ages Camp, which our family loves, and we've been going to for the last few years, and we are planning to go this year. I have slowly found belonging in different spaces, and really have come to understand that belonging is usually people for me. It is the connections that I make, the relationships that I've been able to build, the people who I walk in the room and I see, and it's like, I don't know, joy. It's joyful to see and embrace. And so that is how I found belonging here. But it has definitely been a complicated journey. And I think that if I were less resilient, I may have been put off by those early experiences and not returned. And in fact, for a few of those early years, we very seriously considered other UUs because of those feelings here. But, it has now been over 5 years, and we are still here. And I have so much love for so many in this room. So that is me and my very complicated story of belonging. Thank you.
Let's come together in unity and say we would be one.
Generosity is a spiritual practice. Our congregation has a practice of giving away half of every Sunday's offering to an organization working to make a difference in the world. Our partner for the month of June is Opening Doors. Since 1993, Opening Doors has been accompanying and supporting immigrants, refugees, and survivors of trafficking on the path to stability, self-sufficiency, and belonging. The journey of these newcomers is complicated, exhausting, and often dangerous. Here's just one example. Fleeing cartel violence and an abusive marriage, Lucia made her way to the United States with the support from Opening Doors. She and her oldest son secured work permits, a necessary step in building financial stability. Opening Doors also helped cover the rising cost of application fees, making it possible for the family to navigate the asylum process. Especially now, with increased immigration enforcement, support like this is critical in helping families like Lucia's maintain hope and build a safer future. Thank you for your generosity to UUSS and our community partner, Opening Doors. This morning's offering will now be given and received. As the ushers come forward with the baskets, please join me in blessing the offering. May generosity bless our world, and may gratitude nourish our spirits.
We're now going to hear some of the words that were in the survey response, individual responses. And then we'll hear another section again after my homily.
When I first attended, it was such a thrill to hear all those values that I firmly believed in being put into practice. It was such a wonderful sense of finding my people, and a sense that I could give my kids that also.
I'm still figuring it out. I have only had good experiences so far. I definitely feel more of a sense of comfort here than in any other church community.
The more I show up, the more I become involved, the more I feel a sense of belonging.
It was January 2009, and I was riding BART on my way to seminary, and it was Inauguration Day. Barack Obama was being inaugurated as President of the United States. I was on a time schedule to make it to a class, so I thought, I'm going to have to watch it later on, you know? I'm going to be traveling. I won't be able to see it. And I'm sitting there in the BART car, and I hear his voice. I hear Barack Obama's voice, and I look around, and in one corner of the BART car, someone was watching the speech on an iPad. I went over. People were clustered around, leaning in, watching. We were a community of all ages, genders, races, all kinds of people clustered around. No one said a word, but we did exchange eye contact, knowing looks. This is happening. This amazing miracle of a thing was happening. And then people would come to their stops and leave. We trickled away, but I've never forgotten that moment. When I think back on that experience, I recognize now that that intense feeling that I had was a feeling of belonging. These strangers who shared that moment with me, they were my people. We were united in our joy and our gratification. We were a community for those minutes. I felt seen. I felt connected. In my imagination, I like to think that if we'd been able to spend more time together, we might have had a conversation, gone out for coffee. We might have shared our hopes and future for our country. Newcomers to our congregation often have an intense experience of homecoming and connection. You heard one of the comments that were just shared. The person said, when I first attended, it was such a thrill to hear all those values that I firmly believed in being put into practice. It was such a wonderful sense of finding my people. We have many newcomers these days. You may have noticed that. People looking for a place of safety and connection in these troubled times. And many of them find it here. Do you remember your first time when you came here? Not sure what you were looking for, hoping that you'd find the thing that you weren't sure what you were looking for? As humans, we are drawn to community. And as we enter a new space, we unconsciously or consciously look for that recognition of whether we're included, whether we're worthy, whether this is a place where we can be our authentic selves. For Eric, That recognition came with the noticing of the pronouns on people's name tags, and that opened the door to their belonging. But actually, belonging is not handed to you. It's not a gift that you get at the welcome table when you sign the newcomer form. Belonging is a journey. The second comment that you heard today from someone fairly new to UUSS said, "I'm still figuring it out. I've had only good experiences so far. I definitely feel more of a sense of comfort here than any other church community." What an excellent start. I think it's lovely when people come here and feel that strong sense of homecoming. That was my personal experience the first time I came to a UU church. But we want them to get to know us. We suggest that they go through a newcomer orientation, take a few of our exploring classes. We encourage them to find connections outside of Sunday service, like a small group activity or a class. I always say to newcomers, in a church our size, you're not going to get traction in coffee hour. What I mean, of course, by traction is a sense of belonging, a sense that you are a part of something, a place where you can be your authentic self, where you are seen and valued. Another survey respondent said it well, "The more I show up, the more I become involved, the more I feel a sense of belonging." Now, sometimes there are people who come to UUSS and they want to join right away. I mean, right away. Within the first few months or even shorter, they have found their people and they're ready to commit. We discourage this. I have even been known to tell people that they should wait until we disappoint them, until they join. Because having that experience will strengthen their commitment and ultimately strengthen their sense of belonging. And they will understand more fully what they're committing to. A group of humans, a community that is doing our best, that sometimes trips up, sometimes says or does the wrong thing. So this belonging goes two ways. When you belong to a group or an organization, you have the responsibility to help them stay strong, healthy, or vital. And the organization has the responsibility to help you feel connected, safe, authentic. You belong to it, and it belongs to you. You're on the team. One church growth specialist I heard said that when you join a community, you take off your bib and put on your apron. I stress this when people join. You're now part of a team that looks after our community. You share the responsibility of living our values, treating people with respect, engaging with integrity, and helping others to do the same. Offering grace when someone makes a mistake, and owning your own mistakes in turn. This is how we create a sense of safety in our community, and safety is essential to a sense of belonging. But you know, safety is not the same as comfort. It is critical to belonging that you feel safe, seen, and appreciated for who you are. But you might not always feel comfortable. There may be someone whose behavior is difficult for you, or something you don't understand. Maybe there's a part of the Sunday service that is just not your thing. In belonging to a community, you are entitled to safety, and we should all work to make sure that is true. But you are not entitled to comfort, especially if it comes at the expense of someone else. Last Sunday, we had a new member welcome. 29 people spread out across this chancel. That's a bit of a vulnerable moment for new members. Some people don't want to participate in that ceremony. You're standing up there being presented to the membership. As each person came forward last Sunday, we had members lined up here, and one by one, they would reach out and hand a flower to the new member. One existing member per new member. They'd give them a smile, a welcome. It was a beautiful, beautiful ceremony. And then the congregation welcomed them with these words. We invite you as new members to allow yourself to know and be known, to minister to and be ministered unto, to love and to be loved by us, your fellow members, family, and friends. We recognize that we are now a different congregation. We are enhanced and expanded by your presence. We welcome you to this community with all our hearts. And by these words and the effort, commitment, and joy that follows, we belong to them and they belong to us, and we create a community of love together. May it be so.
Under microaggression, under the category of microaggression, I go to church hiding more than half my life. The part about doing care work, disability justice, and neurodiversity, so I don't feel I belong.
We are a multiracial family. A few churchgoers have asked if my kids were adopted, which singles the kids out as different and that they don't belong with us. It is also a comment that we would not be made if our kids were the same race as parents.
Assumptions that my views on Israel would be more negative or less complex than they are. Condescending attitude about my age, which at the time was my relative youth. Condescending attitudes towards non-binary and genderqueer identities.
I feel invisible. I feel that people don't talk to me as much as if I didn't have a walker.
A microaggression happens when a person with an identity in a specific category, especially a marginalized identity, is on the receiving end of opinions about their looks, accent, name, gender, sexual orientation, ethnicity, or other aspects of their identity. It's when our actions make someone feel invisible or alternatively can make them feel like a curiosity. Here's an example from 32 years ago told by a friend in a service at the UU church I attended in Chicago. She was a mom who worked for an airline as a flight attendant. She was a Black woman with light brown skin. White customers on the plane would ask her, "What are you?" She heard this a lot. She would reply, "I'm an American." "No," some strangers would persist. "What are you?" She was telling us, her church family, what life was like for a person of color in America. But the service here today is about experiences of belonging by people in this religious community, UUSS. Fortunately, among the more than 100 survey respondents to the Pulse survey, At UUSS, a majority of people said they did not experience a microaggression here. However, a number of people among us did have that experience. Most of these related to disability, whether an obvious disability or an invisible one, ethnicity, gender or gender identity, and age or generation. In fact, both younger people and older people reported receiving slights. We heard a few of those comments read aloud just a few moments ago. For people whose identities are on the margins, there is nothing micro about the slights that they experience. For this reason and others, business consultants and authors Tiffany Jana and Michael Barron propose a different term: subtle acts of exclusion. From their book, Subtle Acts of Exclusion, these are examples. Spoken to a woman, "What does your husband do?" Spoken to a person who appears older, "Are you retired?" Spoken to a person with a different accent, "Where are you from?" "Oh, I know you're from here, but where are you really from?" Note that topics like these might be normal with people who have gotten to know each other and built a sense of trust. But in early conversations, when someone is checking out a community, those words can hurt. Subtle acts of exclusion are things that we say, ask, or do which give other people the message that they don't belong. Every experience of subtle exclusion takes a toll. It will take longer for them to feel welcome here, harder to gain a sense of belonging. In the United States, those of us who are in the dominant culture of whiteness are used to feeling that we deserve to be comfortable. Hence, to hear a challenge to something we've said can feel like an offense to our right to comfort. It's important to know, however, that for someone with a marginalized identity, it's not a question of comfort alone. It's also a matter of safety and survival. For example, if someone tells me, "My pronouns are they and them," this person is taking a risk that I will accept them. But what if I get flustered and I blurt out, "Oh, I can't keep track of who's who and what pronoun they have, and I don't understand what all this pronoun stuff is about"? This act of exclusion would inhibit the trust and hope that they could really be themselves around me. All of us do subtle acts of exclusion, even though we don't intend to. They are called subtle because people of goodwill do not intend to make someone feel excluded. And when we learn that we did hurt someone, we can feel embarrassment or even shame. That's not comfortable. We may feel defensive and stumble to explain ourselves. And so it's important to understand the difference between the intention of our words and their impact on the recipient. And in such a community as this one, an accumulated experience of subtle acts of exclusion can keep a person from feeling safe or connected. It can block that precious experience of belonging which Reverend Lucy talked about. At UUSS, we've had sermons and workshops on this dynamic, and we can learn more in the future. But in this brief time, I will mention just two short words, which provide a handy way to deal with such acts. And they are ouch and oops. If you experience words that feel like a put down or another form of exclusion, you could say ouch. For example, "Are you retired?" Ouch. "Do you live with your parents?" Ouch. "You don't need to talk to me. There are people of your own group here." Ouch. Ouch might cause the person who said something, to ask what we mean. And if they want to know, we can explain the impact of what they said. Sometimes a person doesn't want to cause discomfort in doing that. They don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to seem like an angry whatever kind of person. Hence, if another one of us is a witness to a subtle act of exclusion, we could say, ouch. And ideally, the person who made the goof will say, oops. And maybe they'll add, oops, can you help me understand what I could have done differently so I don't do it again? When someone takes the risk to tell us how our words came across to them, we can receive that with gratitude and empathy. Oops, thanks for letting me know. We human beings are inherently disappointing because we are imperfect. You may have read that artificial intelligence now can provide companionship to you. Its programming is able to adapt itself to your needs. Your AI friend has no needs. It makes no mistakes. It is there for you. AI offers a relationship without friction or discomfort. Yet, it's also a relationship without a place for empathy, grace, apology, and starting over. And these traits are what human relationships depend on. I'm worried that if we become deceived by the lure of companionship without friction, we will be less likely to show patience with one another's imperfections. And that will make us lonelier. Community is a place where we learn to relate to people in our unique and inconvenient selves. Learning to be more authentic, vulnerable, and kind with one another is a journey toward being the community of compassion, justice, and freedom envisioned by this congregation's strategic plan. But it's more than that. This journey is how we put love at the center of our relationships, the center of the relationships that we have with one another. We are blessed to travel on this journey together. Amen.
Now that we've explored things on a more wide scale, now let's come and go to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Where I'm bound, where I'm bound. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Where I'm bound.
As we extinguish our flames, please join me in speaking our shared intentions. May the power of this gathering light our way forward with courage. In the days to come, let us remember that fear is outworked by hope and that hatred is no match for the power of love.
Please remember that our forum will start in just a few minutes, so please enjoy the snacks and coffee which will be available in this room. You don't have to go far. Zoom will stay on, so you can attend from home, so please hang around. Now, in a gesture of benediction, let us reach out to one another. We're reaching out to you at home. We hope you're reaching back. May our hearts be open to that sense of belonging which can bless us in surprising ways. May we remember the power of kindness to extend a welcome to others and to enhance the sense of belonging together. And now for those who see God, may God be with you. And for all who embrace life, may life return your affection. And for all who seek a right path, may a way be found and the courage to take it step by step with companions along the journey. Blessed be.